Hello and welcome to the OLY podcast. I hope you're good. I hope you're enjoying life on this Tuesday. And if you're not listening on Tuesday, that's totally fine. I hope you had a great weekend and I hope you're already smashing it. Great show today. Before we get into that, we will do the housekeeping. And it's actually a good bit of housekeeping. It's the OLY podcast discount code. So it's actually the only discount code on our site that lets you avail of discount on every single product. That's what makes it so unique. There's no other code, not our influencer codes, not our athlete codes, not anything that gets you that. So if you want a bit of discount or knock a bit off your order, go on, type in OLY podcast in capital letters and you will be able to avail of that. So, and only listeners get that. So if you're listening right now, you can avail. Secondly, there is one or two customers still coming back to us saying that their orders are taken or haven't arrived on time or whatever. Generally, 9 out of 10 orders are getting to the customer on time at the moment, guys, but there is that one that's just still slipping through the net and getting caught up with, in amongst the COVID and lockdown madness and chaos, I suppose. Look, it is what it is, guys. We just have to practice a bit of grace and a bit of patience, because I know in talking to our couriers and our partners that they really are at absolute maximum. So, listen, thank you so much to everybody that has been patient. I do really appreciate it because it's kind of one of those ugly things that happens, but it is what it is. So on to today's show. We have none other than local CrossFit OG, Jack Baxter. Jack's a coach, he's a personal trainer, he's many things, he's a friend of mine, and I've had the absolute pleasure of watching Jack grow his business for the last couple of years. He's recently brought it online, and with that has come a lot of changes, putting himself out there, doing a lot of things that were maybe uncomfortable initially, but I love him. He's a great communicator. I've learned so much off him over the years from a coaching perspective, and I know there's so many people that he's helped already. So we talk about a lot of things. Jack's nearly got 10 years of experience already in his field of work, which is incredible for someone that's just 27 years old. And the cool thing we talk about is like all the different perspectives of people he's met, and that not all cues work for the same people, and that kind of isolated quote that I just said slapped me across the face as someone who has to manage people or someone that has to communicate and talk to people. It was funny how it made complete sense to me, and it's strange how the world works on the principles that it does. So I know for a fact that you'll get a lot from this show. I know there's a lot of value in there, whether you're into this type of work or not. But I'll not ramble on any longer. I'll let you get on to the show before we leave. I'll just ask for the one thing we ask of all the listeners. If you enjoyed today's show, if you get a laugh, if you got value from it, please like, share, comment, review, send to a friend. It's easier than ever to do so. So if you liked it or enjoyed it and you think someone else would, please just send it to them. We don't pay for ads on this, so we just want to try and grow it organically. And we'll leave with the company motto, which is small victories repeated daily. And yeah, guys, that's it from me. I'll talk to you same time next week, and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the OLY podcast show, continuing with the online shows, and we have none other than my good friend and coach and PT and all kinds of things at the moment. We'll get into what he's doing, but Jack Baxter is here today, so say hello to everyone, Jack.
Hey guys, how's it going?
There will be a few people listening to the show that will probably know you, will probably have been coached by you in some capacity over the years, mate. So that's probably a great place to start. Run us through a brief intro to yourself and a bit of your journey to where you've got to now.
Sweet. So pretty much where I'm at right now, I'm situated in Belfast, working at a CrossFit Berserk, coaching CrossFit and teaching weightlifting to pretty much like beginner to intermediate level, so trying to get as many people doing weightlifting as possible and realizing they don't have to take it like as serious as someone who wants to compete in Olympic weightlifting. So teaching it so that everybody can do it, essentially. But it all started when I did some weightlifting in between a rugby season, and then all the lads joke about it as I stopped playing rugby because I didn't like to be cold in the winter. It's part of it's true, but
I remember giving you abuse for that at one point.
You're one of those guys. And then I started weightlifting, so it started off as a bit of slagging. I was like, why are you doing this sport? I just enjoyed it. And then I was teaching spin classes, Les Mills, body pump, grit, CX works, you know, all the like group exercise classes where you have to sort of put on a show. It's like an entertainment show almost more than a coaching show. So I was doing that for a while, and that got me like comfortable in front of a load of people. So I was teaching those classes down at the local rugby club. Then a CrossFit gym opened in Portadown, and I had already been weightlifting that at that time. So I went in, had a nosy around, started doing a bit of CrossFit. Thought, I remember I'll never ever forget my first CrossFit workout. So I was like, right, it was snatches, and it was 100 snatches per time, 40 kilo on the bar, and I thought, great, this is like 50% of my max, you know. 19 years old, come in, a little bit confident. It's like, oh, I can snatch. Nobody else in this gym has really snatched for more than 3 or 4 weeks. I'm going to kill this. And I remember 20 snatches in, standing over the bar going, what the hell have I just started here? And
I think everybody always remembers their first day.
I'll never forget it. And I remember Neil, the guy who owns 80/20, looking at me going, ha, 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 ha. Kill this. So that was pretty cool. And then as time went on, I actually just started working in that gym. Spent over 5 years working there, taking classes, and really just developed my own coaching style and how I like to coach a class, and figured out along the way what I wanted to do, and whether it was, you know, teaching GPP, so like general population, people, getting people fit and healthy, or do you want to go into helping coach athletes? And it was like, well, I came from not being like a high level athlete myself. I just enjoyed playing sport. I enjoyed keeping fit and being healthy. I was like, that's how I want to relate to the people that I'm standing in front of.
Yeah.
Because that more, it's like a more personal level to me. Like I can relate to someone like that. It's like, here, you just want to be in good shape. You want to be healthy. You want to be fit, but you want to do this, and you want to do this weightlifting. You know, you want to weightlift, and you want to do a bit of CrossFit. So it's like, that's how I developed my coaching style, to being like, relate to someone at that level.
Yeah.
And then in the past year, well, just over slightly a year ago, I moved all of my work up towards Belfast, and that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, that's awesome, mate. And I picked up on a couple of things that when you were saying there, and one of them was, you know, it took you a while to kind of get your teaching style and coaching style, and another one was getting comfortable in front of people. And obviously, you know, you were in front of a lot of classes for a lot of years, and you know, did that come naturally to you to be standing in front of people, or was it something that was kind of baptism by fire and you had to fire yourself in at the deep end?
Well, actually, the first ever spin class that I took in front of people, you'll remember this, where like at school when we had games, you could either go to the gym, or you could go and play football, or go play volleyball, whatever it is. I remember in the games rallying up 20 people from school and going, I'm taking a spin class for you guys. And that was my first ever spin class. So it was actually in front of like a load of my peers.
I would say
that was probably more nerve-wracking than sitting in front of people that you didn't know.
Yeah.
Because you're going back into school. You're going back into school the next day, 18 years of age, and people are like, "How he took that spin class?" And whether I messed it up or I nailed it, people are still gonna like go, "Oh, here, you took that spin class." That was nerve-wracking, and it's actually easier when you don't know anybody, because there's no prejudice of who you are.
Exactly. And there's an element made of putting yourself out there as well. Like a lot of people, and that's kind of one of the main fears in public speaking as well. It's literally putting yourself out there and putting yourself at the risk of looking like a tool, you know, and you could say, you know, you could deliver, because I've been in front of classes and I've bluffed my way through them sometimes, just because, you know, someone will ask for a tip and it's maybe something that you're weak at, and like, oh man, you almost feel like an imposter at times as well. But I think,
I don't think that ever goes away. Like, there's times where you're standing in front of a class, and still to this day, I'm standing in this class, and like, there's 30 people here, and they're listening to me.
Yeah.
in 6 months' time, I could think back and go, everything I was telling them was wrong because I've maybe progressed and learned it, and go,
yeah.
But that's just always in the back of your head. But I think that's that's a normal thing. Like everybody has that like little bit of like there's someone in the back of your head saying, you can't do this, or it's like self-doubt.
Big time, mate. I think everyone does have that, and I've been coached many a time over the years. Whether that be one-on-one, whether it be in class and stuff, and I really enjoy your coaching style. I mean, I'm a complete spa when it comes to training. I need to be told where I'm going wrong, why I'm going wrong, how I'm going wrong. Like, and some coaches hate that, but with you've always been really patient, and we talked a lot at the start about trying to find your style and kind of what is your style and what did you learn was your way of coaching, and how did you get that flow?
So like I'm one of these people that like to know the ins and outs of why something is the way it is.
Yeah.
But when and at the start, when you first started coaching, especially when I started teaching in a CrossFit gym, it was like, right, I've got this information in my head and I want to show people that I know this. And you start teaching, and you start teaching it in the terms that you understand it.
Yeah.
And it was Neil who owned the gym at the time. He was in the class and he just stopped and was like, "Here, what's this?" And I was like, "Oh well, this is what it is." It was like trying to pretty much tell me like you need to not dumb it down, but like make it simpler.
Yeah.
So understand. So then from then it was for me learning how to coach to make it simple for someone that doesn't understand it in the way I understand it, learn it. And then it meant that I could take a class, explain something that I know in like inside out to someone who doesn't in the most simple terms as possible, so that then they can actually perform the movement or make the correction.
And it's funny you say that because like I can only relate to me. Whenever I initially got into coaching, I like that was my passion at the time. I'm big into my business now, but at the time coaching and training was my thing then. And I kind of always misconstrued it that it was kind of I thought in being a good coach meant that I was incredibly knowledgeable, but it's not the case. It's it's taking something that's intricately complicated, dulling it down to layman's, and then being able to deliver that, to create an effective or safe session. And was that a learning curve for you, or did that come naturally, or how did that work out for you?
It was a bit of a learning curve. I didn't have to like reteach myself how to coach it. It was just like subconsciously in your head going, if I say it like this, it doesn't matter. They're not going to understand it. Some people might, like the people that are like maybe gifted or have done, studied it themselves, might understand it. But I have to be like, some people are coming in here and have no experience exercising at all.
Yeah.
And they don't need to know why you would, squat this way or what muscles you're trying to activate. It's like teach them how to move their body, and that's it. So it wasn't a thing that it doesn't naturally come. Like you don't have to. It just doesn't happen. You have to think about it. But I'm like just going. The best way to sort of describe it is you have to be able to do it. You have to understand the movement fully. So what I did was to like learn that was understand the movement, understand why the body moves, but then find a way that I can teach it that doesn't describe it that way.
Yeah, I understand that.
And there was one really good book that I actually got. It was called By the Numbers.
By the Numbers?
Yeah. So By the Numbers. It's pretty. It was like it's about that. It's it's very thick, and it's pretty much got every movement that you would have if you were in a functional fitness gym or a CrossFit gym, from squatting to kettlebell swings to things like that, and it gives you lots of different like coaching ways or coaching cues and ways to explain the movement in simple terms.
Yeah,
that was beneficial as well.
I think that's one thing. Like I said, I just totally confused it at the start, and it was analysis paralysis for me. But really, the essence of coaching is like I said, is taking something relatively complicated, or taking something complicated or intricate, and dumbing it down, and delivering that to someone who, like you said, like could be a mother of three who literally doesn't give a fuck how they're deadlifting or what weight they're moving. But it's just your job to ensure that they're doing it safely, that they're doing it effectively, and that they get the workout in return. But there's two things I actually picked up on, and it's about the people and experience. And like you're 7 or 8 years into your career now?
I started coaching in upper sixth, so I was 18. So I'm coming 27 in July, so that's nearly
9 years, man.
9 years.
So obviously during the course of your career thus far, you've had many different establishments you've worked in and you've worked with many coaches. That to me is a great way to build experience and knowledge and get a knowledge base. Has that been the main way you've learned, or has it been a combination of experience and teaching and then reading and learning yourself on your own accord?
Personally, like at the start, you're thinking in your head, you go, right, I need to get as many courses under my belt, many qualifications as possible, because that's what people are going to look for. And I've never been asked by anybody coming in to the gym who wants to get in better shape, it's like, can I see all your qualifications?
Yeah.
And like in your head, you think the idea of someone who's a coach, you walk in and all their accomplishments and qualifications are sitting up on the wall, and that's not the reality of it. But you have to do them. So when I look back, it's like I've worked with many coaches, learned from other coaches, and that's just like you pick bits from that you think are valuable, and then you add them into your own thing. And it is the case of like any coach or any PT will understand this and resonate with it. It's like when you come back from a course, you are like, you're ready to go. You are buzzing. You're ready to get into the gym and just coach the life out of everybody.
Yeah.
And then that fades away, and then people start going, right, I need to do another course to give me that, boost again.
Yeah.
And you pick things out of it, add it into your own, and then that becomes the normal. But like in terms of my own experience, the biggest thing I can take away from it is you need your qualifications to get you started.
Yeah.
But after that, it's just experience. It's like you can be the most well-read person, the most overqualified trainer, coach in the world, but if you're not actually physically out there in the field coaching people, you're not going to gain the experience, and experience is key, because you learn how to deal with different personalities. Someone might come in who's highly motivated, wants to kill everything, and wants to just like train 3 times a day, every day. And then you've got people that come because they feel like they have to.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to relate to each of those people in a setting where those, 2 personality types might be training together at the same time.
And I think it's funny, and like I kind of probably am repeating myself again, but it's like you can have all this knowledge and all this information, but if you don't have the tools to communicate it, well, then it's worth fuck all. It's literally, on paper you might be the most overqualified person, but at the end of the day, if you can't deliver that and communicate that to an individual, and then like you say, there's other variables in that, you could have an athlete that's highly motivated. You don't even need to coach him. You just tell him, go as hard as you can. And then you could have the person that doesn't want to be there but knows for their health or for whatever they have to be there. And, you're easing them through the session as well. And it's kind of like, I guarantee there was way more underlying and secret hidden things within coaching that just wasn't made aware, or you weren't made aware of at the start, or it's the only thing you'll learn by doing and realizing, shit, this is not just about getting my level 2 kettlebells and going in.
And you can do a course and it'll be like, right, everybody trains the same way, and you go in, it's like, I'm going to train everybody and I'm going to coach everybody exactly the same. And then you get into it and you're using a cue with somebody, and all of a sudden they're not getting this. But you have to and no matter how many times you repeat the same cue to someone, it's not going to work. Like if I say it twice, 3 times, or if I say it 15 times in a row, if it didn't work the first or second time, it's probably not going to work on the 20th time. So on the fly, you have to, like, in that moment in time, you have to think of something else.
Yeah.
And like I learned that from one of the courses. It was one of the coaches that was saying this. It was like, you need to be able to have enough backed up in your head so that you can change how you're coaching it.
Like a contingency plan almost.
Yeah. And that's where, like, I know you said you could have as many qualifications as you want, you can do as many courses as you want, but if you don't have the experience to back it up, then it's useless. But it's also the flip side. You can be the best person to talk and communicate, but if you don't have the knowledge, so you have to, like, back the two of them up. The two of them have to come together to train, and to coach people of many different walks of life.
Yeah, I get that. So, one observation I've made, mate, is that obviously I know you personally, but even from listening, you can tell that this is like your passion. And you, at what age did you realize not only is this my passion, but this is what I want to do as a job? Because essentially, by definition, you're an entrepreneur. Whether you want to take that label or not, stick it in the bio, let everyone know. But, at what moment did you kind of figure out that, right, shit, this is what I want to do? It might not be the most glamorous life. It might not be, because it's early mornings and it's long days, and it's not a picturesque 9 to 5. So at what point in your life were you like, right, shit, I want to do this? I want to help people and I want to serve people, or what were the motivations for that as well?
Like, when I started training in the gym, it was mainly because, like, when we played rugby, it was like, right, you go to the gym to train rugby, and I started training and I was like, here, training in the gym makes me feel really good. Like, you get that endorphin rush.
Yeah.
At 15, 16, you might not understand why that is.
Yeah.
You look back, you can because now when, if you're having a bad day now, or like not the best day, all it takes is a workout, 20 minutes, and you feel, infinitely better straight away.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like we had work experience in school, and everyone was doing UCAS and things like that, looking at universities, and I did the same. It was like, just as like at one stage I was going to go to university, and then I decided that I wouldn't. And I just did work experience in the gym, and I was like, you know what? I actually like this sort of lifestyle. It's like, I'm talking to people every day. I'm helping people feel the same way that it makes me feel.
Yeah.
Sort of spiraled from there. Now, looking back at 17, 18, you never thought, like, you don't know, like, 9 years down the line that you're doing this, with, like, the way you're doing it now.
Yeah.
It evolves all the time. To now where it's like, right, at that one stage at 17, 18, I thought I would be taking, classes on a stage with a microphone and flashing lights. Till I realized it was like, actually, I enjoy getting in front of people, but like being side by side and teaching them how to move better. Because I always remember standing on the stage, looking down, going, I can see someone in the back here doing this wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm standing in front of 50 people, 60 people, and I can't help that person because I'm standing here. And then I'm waiting for the next change in the music to change the movement. So by the time I fix them, then I've messed the whole song up. And then there's 49 people standing going, here, you've missed the beat, and that's the way it goes. So, but like as it's evolved, now I'm going into looking at how can I help people outside of where my location is.
Yeah.
Where I've just started to build like an online platform for myself, which is in the very, very, very early stages, and there's many people who are doing it very well, and you're picking up things from them, just seeing how they do things and try to go, right, well, that's the way it is, but you want to make it authentic about yourself as well.
And I suppose that's a nice flow, mate. Like, you've had many stages in your career. Like, you started out in Globo Gym doing grit, pump, spin. Then you moved into the CrossFit space because that's kind of where your passion was in weightlifting and CrossFit. And then now you've progressed, another level into online coaching. And also on the side of that, you've got your seminars and your workshops as well. So, and that, all of that stuff kind of screams like the seminars and the online element. It screams kind of entrepreneurialism to me. And, I was chuffed when you got it up because you could see that you were taking, real good cause and effect action on it. And like your platforms and everything's kind of steadily grown. So that's probably a good place to park the bus and chat on, because I know, especially during COVID and especially with a lot of our listeners being in the health, fitness, wellness space, there's going to be a lot of guys and girls looking to probably do some kind of online coaching business in the future. Kind of what's been the stages in that progression, and how have you got everything online?
So it all started, it was like, I wanted to, I coached CrossFit classes and I coached like a weightlifting class in the gym. And then I started doing like workshops for the members in the gym.
Yeah.
But then as it sort of built, people were from outside going, can I come to this? And I was like, well, yeah, I'll open up to everybody. And then it just started snowballing from that. It was like, there was people coming from different areas. But then there were some people messaging me saying, here, geographically, I can't make this. It's, it's a full day trip, or, I'm 4 hours away, and you're going, right, well, what can I do? And I always in my head had been like, programming for individual people is time consuming. And like, you can't do that for 20, 30, 40, 50 people at a time, because that would take up your whole week.
Yeah.
Like coaching people one-to-one's your bread and butter. You have to be in front of people a lot of the time to build your experience. So what I sort of transitioned into was thinking of like, right, most people and most of the people I coach are at a beginner stage. How can I develop something that I can help people from anywhere slot this into their weekly schedule? And I came up with just a simple 2-day-a-week weightlifting program that takes everything from the beginning stages of weightlifting and builds it right back up from the very bare bones. And I then put that onto a platform called Fitter. So Leon and Cassidy, they have a platform, and I met up with him, chatted with him, he explained how the system worked, how the platform worked, and I was like, right, I'm in, I'll use it. So that's how I built that. But then as a whole, it was like, right, I've got this Fitter platform. How do I utilize this the best way? Put the 2-day-a-week program on. Anybody can sign up for it. Anybody can do it. And then it was like, right, I've got this, but I have no idea how do I get this out to people.
Yeah.
And it's when like I met up with you and we had a chat and we came up with just different ideas and ways to get it going and how to like let people know it's there. So that was a big learning curve, and that all sort of happened this year.
Yeah.
And it slowly gained a little bit of traction, and then COVID hit, and you're like, right, all of my in-person coaching, all of my workshops have to stop.
All right, the door, yeah.
And it then gave me the kick up the ass to be like, right, this is how I'm going to develop my business.
Yeah.
And then just started pushing it a little bit more, and it's now steadily grown.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, we can park the bus there because it's probably an area that I can digress on a wee bit more as well, is that one of the limitations to coaching is it's pay per hour, so you're literally limited by the resources of your time. But with coaching, it's a simple case of with online coaching, it's a simple case of setting up scaling systems, and it's a kind of a bit of a buzzword, but it really is simple in essence. and like you've seen and witnessed it. And what was that? 3 months ago we met up.
Yeah, it was maybe like would have been January, February time, so like towards the start of the year.
So in the macro scheme of things, that is, a quarter of a year in business terms is nothing. And it's not a personal question, or it's a personal question, but you don't need to hit me with a number. But how much of your personal revenue now would you say is being generated by the online element of your business?
Well, without going into like actual numbers.
Yeah, like 30, 40%, 20%.
Like, I would say that some of the money, not all of it, like not all of the income that I would have missed out on from doing workshops and one-to-ones has been recouped.
Yeah.
But it's helped build that sort of gap, or bridge that gap between losing all of the money from doing one-to-ones and workshops to bringing it a little bit closer to that.
And I think it's one of the joys of technology and the nature of where coaching's going, that you can kind of amalgamate the two, and it gives serious scalability and allows, coaches and PTs and guys in that fitness space the ability to, rather than going from like, an 18 to 24 grand wage, you can, the world's your oyster.
As high as you want it.
Exactly. Depending on how much market you want to do, how much engagement you want to be driving, what kind of systems you have in place, the packages that you're selling and offering.
There's always these levels. You get to a level, you're going, you could stay at that level and coast that and be happy. But if you want to, you can level it up.
Yeah, and
you have to, if you want to do that, you have to be willing to put yourself out there more.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Like I've learned from this sort of period of being off. It's like 6 months ago, I would never have stood in front of a camera, talked, and put it out there.
Yeah.
For the world to see.
It's nerve-wracking.
But now I'm comfortable doing that.
Yeah. But you've also seen the cause and effect and what that can materialize for you.
Makes such a difference.
And you said there about levels, mate, and I think I kind of recognized you in that you're at a level of physical coaching, limited by the hours and your time as a resource, and then kind of going online was that next level. And like you said, there was that discomfort of trying to maybe work on elements of a business that you haven't done before, so there's discomfort there, and then there's elements of putting yourself out there and getting in front of a camera, like you say. Was that severely uncomfortable for you, and kind of how did you break that barrier and get through it?
Initially, yes, it was uncomfortable, because you're going, right, I have to set up this, and this. You've got that, like we talked about the self-doubt thing. It's like, I'm putting this out here for people. If people buy it, what if it's not good enough? What if people start slagging it? Like, most of the people that slag you when you stand in front of the camera are your mates. But anybody else is like, someone might watch the video and go, that's what I needed.
Yeah.
And you get messages like that, and like, this is great, I tried this, and you're going, right, well, if I help one person, it was worth it.
Yeah.
And in terms of like, if you're looking at it financially, you have to look at it's one thing I learned as well. I have to look at your training and your coaching service as a business.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it doesn't grow.
Exactly.
There's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong. Like, there's this sort of like thing where people in this industry are kind of going, oh no, I'm not in this for making money, I just do it because I like it. It's like, that doesn't pay your bills, it doesn't give you the freedom that you want.
Yeah.
As long as saying you want to make money out of it, because everybody else goes to work for a wage. And this is exactly the same. It's just, we get to do the thing that we really enjoy. Like, I love coaching, and I love helping people.
Yeah.
And I can do that for a living. So, that's a winner.
And it's actually, you've topped on the next thing that I wanted to say is helping people, and you've just mentioned it. And is that, so there's, for me, I read something recently, and it really helped me separate the passion and purpose. Passion for you, from me looking in, is kind of your weightlifting, your training, and that's kind of where you wanted to work in. And then your purpose is kind of why you fucking do something. So is it helping people, or is it serving or impacting others? Is that kind of why you got into that line of work?
Yeah, like from like a personal perspective, like my family weren't like they weren't not that they weren't active, but they weren't like sporty, they weren't competitive in the sense that I am now. Like my dad raced cars.
Yeah.
I was like, that was his thing, but it wasn't like what I was interested in.
Yeah.
And like that's a competitive of a different nature. And I just like being active. I love like people will see that yes, I am marketing and trying to sell like weightlifting and like barbell sports stuff. But outside of that, I love just being outside, outdoors, you know. So it's kind of like trying to mix the two together. Whereas again, that's why I like to relate and coach people at a beginner to intermediate level who just do it for fun, because you can do CrossFit, weightlifting, and barbell stuff, but also go and hike for 15 miles if you want. Like there, you don't have to separate the two.
Yeah. But also you said there as well, mate, is like at least you've kind of found who you can serve best and who you can, where your highest point of contribution is. And again, it came from another book that I've read recently, and that's why I said that term, because it's kind of like you now recognize I can serve, you know, the intermediate or the entry level lifter better because of my coaching style. You know, I mean, you could take, you know, you have taken highly competitive.
I've helped like Emma McQuaid. I helped her and coach her regularly with technique for weightlifting.
Yeah.
She has obviously her coach James Joycey, who does all of her programming. But like we train together the odd time, and you know I just give her a few pointers here and there in terms of that, which is it's great because you get to see the insight of someone at that elite level.
Exactly, man, exactly. And that's kind of the thing as well, is, you know, people who are, like, say for me, I'm highly competitive. I love sports. I love trying to win, or I love trying to win. So I would always enjoy coaching someone who's along that line, someone that's, you know, they don't need to be Rich Fronins or Matt Frasers, but if they're trying to move for performance and efficiency and effectiveness in the workout, that's what I personally love. So it's interesting to hear that, you know, that contrast of style. And obviously I'm not in the space anymore, and but it is a cool perspective. So mate, I've been listening, and there's so many wee mini tips that I've picked up on that someone starting out could really get value points from. So I'm actually just gonna use the shitty analogy for the third time and park the bus right there. You know, tips for a young coach starting out. What are the barriers getting in initially, and what are a few tips that you would, you know, share to them?
I think one of the things now is like there's so many people doing this job.
Yeah.
So it's very easy for you to sit back and go, there's so many people already doing this. Why do I need, you know, why does there need to be another guy or another doing it? You're like, but for the amount of personal trainers or the amount of coaches there are, there's millions of people, you know, and if you can, like we've said before, is like you can only scale your one-to-one coaching business so high.
Yeah.
So there's room for you to take on 5 clients when you start off. So like the barrier to entry in that respect is in your head.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you can help people, you just have to go and do it. You know, get into it. The next what I would be thinking of is learn from as many people as possible. You know, be a sponge, like absorb as much information as you can.
Yeah.
If it means that you have to pay someone to get it, you know, hire a coach, you know, because you're going to learn from them. You know, I have someone telling me what to do every day. Like, so Emma programs for me because I'm going to pick up things from her because she's trained at a different level.
Big time. Big time.
You know, so that's like that back and forwards. But if it means that you have to pay somebody to learn from them, just do it, because that's where you're gonna pick up. You pick up things from doing it.
Yeah.
You can read the book, but you need to do it to learn it.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to hop in there, mate, and say, the idea of internships, don't turn your nose up at them, because if you can get under a great coach for a month or 2 months for free, you're whistling, you're absolutely dreaming. Like, I think it's, especially when you start out, and first and foremost, if you've got the confidence to start out, you probably have a bit of an ego, and I don't use that in a bad way, but with that comes, I think I'm capable, so therefore I'm going to do this on my own. And I would say, don't be that guy. I mean, like Jake said, be a sponge, be willing to learn, be open-minded, because, you're only looking at the world through one perspective. Why not go and be in an environment with 3 or 4 coaches, and learn from 3 or 4 perspectives, and cherry pick what you like and what you don't like.
And it's like what you said there is be willing to intern.
Yeah.
Because you're at the start, if you're in it and you're thinking of this as a long-term career, intern at the start, and you as time progresses, then you'll be able to make your money out of it.
And also, mate, I think, and this is the mistake I made, I like training and I liked exercise and competition, so naturally I thought I would like that line of work. I ended up fucking hating it, and it was actually in interning that I discovered that. So it's like, for me, I was going in thinking I was going to be working with all these high-level athletes, etc. And really it wasn't. Like, that's maybe 5% of the job.
It's even less.
Yeah.
You can go into the gym and there could be one elite, or like, if we're looking at it as a CrossFit perspective, if someone competes in CrossFit, you could go into the gym and there's one elite person there out of 200 people.
Yeah.
So, and even like on a broader scheme of that, how many people compete in the CrossFit Games Open?
Yeah.
How many people actually get to the CrossFit Games out of the grand scheme of that? It's like the percentage is so small.
Yeah.
So, with that, it's be willing to work with everybody, anybody, and learn your skills, and sort of, like, as people say, is like sharpen your axe.
Yeah, big time. So, I think there's serious value. Keep going. Give me tips, or even, point out barriers that people face.
Barriers people face, like, one thing that I thought was like, right, I'm 20 years old. Why is this 45-year-old man, who's probably trained longer than I've been alive, want to listen to me?
Yeah.
But you have to be like, this is my job, this is what I study, and this is what I learn.
Yeah, I get that.
Just trust in what you know.
And I think that's a big point as well. And you'd said something earlier, and it's like, people are trusting you, but it's like, I think it was whenever you said that you were going online and like you're putting yourself out there, but that's what it is to be a coach. It's like, your value is in your confidence in the knowledge that you've learned and your ability to deliver that. And there's no PT god that sits and smites you down because he knows you're not knowledgeable enough. The results will speak for themselves. And that's a big thing as well. It's like, if you want to put your hourly rate at £100 an hour, or your 6-week entry to getting big biceps at £100, for a course, well, then you got to make sure that, the information and the knowledge you've used to create those programs is worth it. Yeah. And I think that's where the confidence in coaching comes from, is doing the hard hours, making sure you're reading, keeping up to work, or keeping up to date on your CPD, and making sure that what you're learning is the best information available.
Well, that was the next point that I was going to make, is like you just said it. It's always be learning. Yeah. Like, the moment that you think that you know it all, you may as well stop, because then you just close your mind off to every new idea, anything else that you think you could learn, when you start thinking that I already know everything.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be always learning and trying to progress. You get your qualification, that's like the tip of the iceberg. Like, that's the small thing. It's like everything below that, you need to be learning, reading, whether it's attending a workshop or a seminar from someone who's close by, and be willing to go pay the money to do it.
Yeah.
And then once you've done the workshop, again, it's not done because they've only given you a small fraction of the information. And then you have to go and like expand on that. So like be willing to buy books, be willing to read.
Yeah.
Always be the student as such.
Yeah, you're right, and I would agree with it. And I think as well, it's that continuous development and that need and want and desire to continually want to learn. That's what keeps it interesting and exciting.
Yeah.
Like you said there, the content that you put out 6 months ago, you might have learned something from then. And still 6 months ago you're delivering a safe and effective session, but it keeps it interesting for you to be like, oh shit, well that's a better way than how I learned to do that. I'm definitely going to implement that now, and like that's what keeps it fun and exciting.
Yeah.
And one other thing that I wanted to pick up on, because not only just in training and PTing and coaching, but in anything, if you're an entry level in anything, and this is a principle, you will probably experience a thing called Dunning-Kruger Effect, whereby you're exposed to an area or a thing or a topic or a line of work. You're exposed to it for a limited amount of time. And because you've been exposed to a limited amount of information, you then actually, your mind starts to make you think that you know it all, because you've only been exposed to a year's worth of coaching or a year's worth of a certain sport. And like, I see that going right through to right up to between 2 and 3 years. Well, for me in business, because there's so much to learn, like I definitely experienced that.
And it's the same with like, even with training in CrossFit and functional fitness and weightlifting. Like when we think back, CrossFit only started getting big here in 2013.
Yeah.
Like we're only 7 years into this, and in the States, it started. It was like 2005, 2006. It was started to like really kick off. So it's still, nobody knows where this is going to go.
Yeah, and I think as well, mate, that is the final point before we get to the big question is, where do you see the sport going? Because like in the nearly 10 years you've been in the game, you've changed line of work. Like, the nature of your work's changed considerably. You're still delivering ice cream, but just a different flavor, So where do you see it going in the future?
Really, it's hard to know. Like, I honestly, well, in terms of if you're looking at it, like you said, like as a sport, it's getting to the point where, when you first started, like if I say it was 2012, 2013, everybody thought they could go to the CrossFit Games or go to regionals.
Guilty.
And it's like, now it's at the point where it's in the same realm as going, I'm going to play Premiership football or I'm going to play high level, rugby.
Yeah.
It's at that stage where it's a very small percentage. So like there's going to be and I've seen it happen now where people have realized that, yes, I can compete in this if I want to.
Yeah.
Because there's many different levels. Like if you look at Filthy 150, they had the elite section, had an RX section, and then they had like a team competition, which was pretty much, it was like, for fun.
Yeah.
Or not for fun, but it's like competing at your level.
Yeah.
Like in terms of a competition thing, you're going to see people competing at, any level from elite to, like grassroots as such, as they would call it in other sports. But in terms of like the coaching thing, now I see a lot of stuff being able to go online a lot more than what it has done. Like online coaching has progressed significantly in the past 3 or 4 years. When I first started coaching, a lot of it was just in person, And I think the online space is going to grow massively, which I'm excited about because that's something that I'm looking to get into to add on to what I'm currently doing with the in-person stuff.
Big time.
But you're going to have a lot of people that used to go and PT for aesthetics and coach for aesthetics come across to go in the functional space. It's like, because you can see progression quicker through performance-based training, as it would be called, than you would aesthetically. So, and it's mirroring the two together. Whereas this is where like the separation from sport and training for health and fitness becomes bigger, because it used to be if you go into a gym and you start a CrossFit gym, start bench pressing, doing bicep curls, like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
It's like, here, you can mix all of it together. So I definitely think you're going to see a separation from pure CrossFit to I want to train this, but I also want to train this because I just want to look good.
Yeah, and I think, mate, we're already seeing early stages of that between like F45, Orange Theory, lots of different programming methodologies are getting out there now, and they're kind of cherry picking, like you said, like a bit of bodybuilding for aesthetics, because everybody wants to look good. Then cherry picking the health and fitness and wellness element of CrossFit because
it's been sorry for interrupting you. It's like we're talking about different like models. Like you used to have your spin class where people would go to, but now you've got it's row bike ski, which is essentially the same style of model but using a rower, a skier, and a biker. And people do that because that's what I want to do.
Yeah, and I think the market space will really dictate where everything goes, and it's always been the case in that the market tells the businesses and the companies providing these things where to go. So you know what, I think it's exciting, mate, and I agree with you. The fact that there's a big online element, bottom line, if you have an Instagram page, you can set up an online coaching system now. With
just
all
with the Instagram page, like I had an Instagram page but nothing to sell or nothing to sell it from, so it was like setting up the footer, setting up a link tree so everything's in the one spot, or at the next level it might be, do I set up a website instead of a link tree? These are just things that I'm gonna have to figure out. But it's having all these things where I've got my Instagram and that's your marketing, but then I have a page or somewhere so someone can find the things that I actually sell, or somewhere for somebody to contact me.
Yeah, and even on that now, like Jake's talking about all these things, and don't worry if how how your version of things doesn't work or align with that, because I kind of think it's the beauty of that element of business. You can set it up to tailor yourself, and that's the thing I love about it. You can make it your own. If you want to only work till 2 o'clock, you can set up systems that allow that. You know what I mean? But
this is, I get to wake up and do what I want to do, like enjoy what I do. And primarily it's like I can schedule the work when I want to do it.
Yeah.
Which is perfect. That living the dream.
Yeah, so I think, mate, there's plenty of values for kind of all the coaches, PTs, especially the early stage guys getting out there. So we're going to move on to the big fat question we ask everyone. So obviously, you're not a millionaire. You're not an Olympic swimmer. You're not a CrossFit Games athlete. But what you are is someone that's went out and kind of, well, for lack of a better term, grab life by the balls. I mean, you've went kind of down that unorthodox route of trying to pave your own way. So I deem that a success. I respect that and admire that. And I always have. And it's kind of like there's going to be a lot of people like you, maybe in the same stage or in the earlier stages. So in terms of defining success for you, mate, what does it look like? Word for word, how do you define success?
Well, yeah, obviously we had talked before this, and you gave me a bit of a heads up on this. So I kind of jotted it down, and I've touched on it a wee bit as we went through. So it'll probably sound like I'm repeating myself, but pretty much it's like waking up, doing the thing that you love every day, when you want to do it, with the financial freedom to live how you want to live.
Yeah.
So for me, like success, I'm not like, obviously everybody wants to make money. There's no doubt about it. Everybody wants to make money. Whether they say they don't want to do it or they do it for free if they could. People want to make money. I want to be able to make a living for myself that allows me to be comfortable doing the thing I enjoy. I would hate to wake up in the morning, go to a job that I hate just because it pays well.
Yeah.
So if I can do the job I love and get paid well, then that's what I think,
And I think, mate,
success as.
You've touched on a lot of things there. Like, we things were popping up in my mind, but like, that's kind of a good way of defining financial freedom. And people think financial freedom is just being so fucking filthy rich that you don't need to worry, but it's not. Like, if you live within your means, like,
you can make as much money as you want and still live month to month because you're spending too much.
We know a couple of people like that, and it's kind of like, I know, for example, you're big into your hiking and your surfing and that element of life, and to use that as the example, it's like you want to live a life and make money off your coaching and your PT, and that allows you to go to Donegal for the weekend and surf with your friends and not need to worry about answering emails, not need to worry about being there for a person that you're coaching, because that's the life you asked for, and that's the life you chose and the way you set it up. And I think the beauty of it is, if you're willing to work for that and willing to work towards that, well, then that's success to you. Do you know what I mean?
And there'll be times where you're maybe sitting at the laptop. Like, there's some Sundays I'm sitting at the laptop for 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to do that to get the other.
And I think, mate, that's the untold truth of entrepreneurialism, and kind of within our friend group, kind of you and I are one of the guys that aren't working within businesses and stuff, and it's like, it's something that not necessarily unseen, but it's like, it is the ugly side of it. It's sitting and having to do work on your own accord, and I think that's what the essence of entrepreneurship is. It's just fucking hard work, and the nature of it is that if you're willing to do those hard hours and you're willing to do, the hard work at the weekends or when nobody's watching, it gives you the right to go out and live the life that you want.
Like, if I sit and edit 30 videos for a program that I've designed on a weekend, it means that on a Wednesday night, like this week, I can go and get into the water and surf for 2 hours if I want.
Yeah. And I love it, mate, because it's kind of why we choose to do what we do. It's because we want to live the life that we want. We don't want to live by default, and we don't want to live trying to build someone else's dream. And mate, I admire it and I respect you for it. And it's been a joy to watch you, mate, in your career thus far.
Likewise. Remember the people say, oh, you're stealing a living or you don't work. It's like, and it's the same with yourself. It's like you started it and you've been at many different competitions, and you go somewhere. Like, I've been across the water, and the next thing you're seeing someone wearing an OLY clothing jumper, and you're like, that's my mate's jumper. And it's
crazy, man.
It's a strange thing.
It is, mate, and it's like you will. I think it's cool to even touch on that. You will get so much resistance at the start if you are someone that's planning on starting, and it will come from your friends and family first. Kind of our friend group is savage at times, and
if you're not slagging each other, there's something wrong.
Exactly, mate, and I'm a sensitive Sally at times, and I'll just fire the head up and do what I was doing anyway. But I think that's the resistance that makes you, and that's kind of what makes it all worthwhile when it does go good. Do you know what I mean? So but yeah, mate, listen, I know you've got a busy day ahead, and I'm sure that people listening have got plenty of value. So thank you so much for your time. Do you want to do a shameless plug? No worries, man.
Shameless plug. Find me at Jake Baxter Training on Instagram, and from there you can find me. You can find everything else I do there.
From there you can sign up to 6 weeks.
Yeah, sign up for a 4-week program, ongoing program.
But yeah, mate. Again, thank you for having me on, and to everybody listening, thank you so much. I know the sound quality and the way the shows are being put forward at the moment isn't the usual high standards, but we have to just adhere to what's being put forward at the moment with the government and stuff. So Skype calls we'll have to do. So we'll leave you with the company motto, which is small victories repeated daily. And again, thank you so much for listening, guys, and we will talk to you next week.